Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McClendon coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. In an interview on an Italian television programme, Pope Francis has once again urged an end to wars. The Pope said that military escalation scares him, since automatic weapons can lead to the total destruction of mankind. The Holy Father also lamented that wars deprive children of their smiles and of their dreams. He also called for a well-thought-out migration policy to protect migrants from exploiters. Answering a question regarding the blessing of irregular couples, Pope Francis reaffirmed that the Lord blesses everyone. Clarifying his stance on the recently published document Fiducia Supplicans, Pope Francis said, "We must take these people by the hand and do not condemn them from the start." China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi called for an authoritative Israeli-Palestinian peace conference, emphasising the need for a specific timetable and roadmap for the implementation of a two-state solution. He urged the prompt resumption of Israel-Palestinian peace talks and welcomed the active role of the United Nations. Meanwhile, terror group Hamas released a video on Monday showing the bodies of two Israeli hostages, those being Yossi Sharabi and Itai Svirsky. The video also featured a third hostage named Noah Argamani reading a script claiming the two were killed by Israeli strikes. Israel claims 132 hostages remain in Gaza. 3 major UN agencies have also warned that Gaza urgently needs more aid to prevent famine and disease. The death toll in the Israel-Hamas war has now surpassed 24,000. In another development, Iran's Revolutionary Guard claimed responsibility for attacking what they refer to as the spy headquarters of Israel in Iraq's Kurdistan region. The United Nations has requested $4.2 billion to aid people in Ukraine and refugees displaced in 2024. The appeal addresses the dire situation on the front lines, worsened by escalating attacks and harsh winter conditions. Of the total, $3.1 billion is for 8.5 million people in Ukraine itself, and $1.1 billion is for refugees and host communities outside the country. The conflict, ongoing for nearly 2 years now, has left 14.6 million people needing humanitarian assistance. Martin Griffiths, who is the United Nations humanitarian chief, expressed concern for the hundreds of thousands of children living in war-affected areas, emphasising the need for increased humanitarian assistance. In another significant move, Switzerland agreed to host a global peace summit on Ukraine at the request of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. New York-based advocacy group the Anti-Defamation League has recorded a 360% rise in anti-Semitic attacks in the country since the Israel-Hamas war began. The group says over 3,000 anti-Semitic incidents were recorded between October the 7th and January the 7th. Chief Executive Jonathan Greenblatt said the American Jewish community is facing a threat level that's now unprecedented in modern history. The group says that since the beginning of the Israel-Hamas war, there have been nearly an average of 34 anti-Semitic incidents per day in the country. The National Eucharistic Congress, scheduled to begin on Wednesday, July the 17th and end on Sunday, July the 21st, will include a mile-long Eucharistic procession through Indianapolis. The event will be held at the Indianapolis Colts' enormous indoor arena, Lucas Oil Stadium. The Congress, the culmination of the US Catholic Bishops' multi-year Eucharistic Revival program, is the first such event to take place in the United States in over 80 years. Warnings have been issued to Massachusetts prenatal care centres that provide abortion pill reversals, threatening potential penalties. Critics of such reversals say that they are unproven, unethical and dangerous. By issuing this warning, the state is attempting to put a halt to what it refers to as the deceptive tactics of pro-life pregnancy clinics. Meanwhile, pro-life groups contend that abortion pill reversal is both safe and effective, citing peer-reviewed research with good findings. This development occurs at a time when Democratic legislators are scrutinising and criticising pro-life pregnancy facilities. The church-run Caritas Institute of Higher Education became the first government-recognised Catholic university in Hong Kong. The institute was approved as a university by the Chief Executive in Council and the Permanent Secretary for Education. In a press release last week, the administration said the institute will be renamed St Francis University. It is the 4th self-financing post-secondary education establishment that has been granted a university title. The university, which began in 1985 as the Caritas Francis Sue College, runs over 30 educational institutes at all levels. Currently, it has 3,000 full-time and 500 part-time students. The idea of a Catholic university was promoted by Hong Kong's Bishop Cardinal Stephen Chow while he was a local superior of the Jesuits. Several human rights organisations have urged United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern over the murders of hundreds of Christians. A coalition of 24 interest groups led by Advancing American Freedom, Alliance Defending Freedom, the Hudson Institute, former Ambassador Sam Brownback and former defence and national security officials has called for action against Nigeria. The groups pointed to the suspected Fulani herdsmen attacks on Plateau State, which resulted in the deaths of more than 150 people on Christmas Eve last year. The group accused the Nigerian government of complicity in the killings and cautioned that Africa's most populous nation could be on the brink of a religious conflict. Pope Francis has conveyed his concern for the people of Argentina and expressed his desire to visit the land of his birth in the second half of this calendar year. Argentina's President Javier Milei, who had previously criticised the pontiff, seems to be reconciling with Pope Francis by inviting him to visit the country. The Latin American nation is now undergoing a severe economic crisis, and Mr. Milei has begun desperate measures to solve the issue. The Pope intimated that the trip may take place after August. A Christian teacher who claims that he was sacked for street preaching has won £7,000 as compensation in a case against his employer. Andy Nix, who is 65, was a qualified teacher at Templemoor High School in Leeds in the UK, and he was reportedly sacked after practising in-street preaching at Leeds City Centre with another evangelist on the 6th of July in 2021. Mr. Nix was jailed for hours and eventually fired from his job. He filed a complaint with an employment tribunal. Mr. Nix commented that it is worrisome that Christians are not allowed to express their faith in public. The Antipolo Cathedral of the Philippines will celebrate the solemn declaration of Our Lady of Peace and Good Voyage as an international shrine on January the 26th. In the event themed Ave Regina Pacis, meaning Hail Queen of Peace, the Filipino people will celebrate and acknowledge the blessings imparted to them by the Blessed Virgin Mary. The Holy See gave the cathedral international shrine status, with this coming into effect on March the 25th just last year. The 450-year-old cathedral, situated in the heart of the city, is Asia's first international Marian shrine and the world's 6th. It is the world's 11th international shrine and the 3rd in Asia. Shalom World will partake in the occasion as the event's media partner. A Christian widow in Pakistan facing false blasphemy charges recently had to flee her home due to threats on her life. On December the 8th, Musarat Bibi and a Muslim gardener named Muhammad Sarmad, both employees at a school, were accused of desecrating pages of the Quran. The incident supposedly occurred on April the 15th, while Bibi was cleaning a storeroom at the Government Girls Higher Secondary School, leading to her suspension from work. Despite being released on bail, the administration refused to reinstate her in her job. Lazar Allah Raqqa, who is Bibi's attorney, lamented the arrest and charges, emphasising the workers' illiteracy and the unintentional nature of the act. Bishop Azad Marshall of Pakistan's Anglican Church remarked how this case exemplifies the misuse of blasphemy allegations to target vulnerable individuals. Finally, Oscar-winning filmmaker Martin Scorsese recently shared in an interview that the script for his upcoming movie A Life of Jesus has been completed. Speaking to the Los Angeles Times earlier this month, Scorsese disclosed that the film will be an adaptation of Shusaku Endo's book A Life of Jesus, co-written by Scorsese and filmmaker Kent Jones. In the interview, Scorsese mentions that he drew inspiration for the film after meeting Pope Francis during a conference last year. He said the movie would not serve as a platform for proselytizing, but rather as an exploration of the profound teachings of Jesus. Scorsese revealed that filming is scheduled to commence later on this year, marking a significant step forward in bringing the cinematic portrayal of a life of Jesus to audiences. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow for more. And do remember you can always visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.